friend Roger Christofferson here again with another first listen review. And what I like to do here is babble about new music that I enjoy. And if you're new to this channel, I'm going to do this like early on because I always forget. If you dig what we're doing here, we're just talking about music, chit-chatting, just giving our opinions on stuff. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Keep this music alive because it's bands that we talk about maybe don't get enough attention sometimes. I know do all kinds of cool stuff on this channel, I think. Anyway, it's kind of the reason we started it, just to chit-chat, talk about music, and give our opinions on stuff. That's really all it's about. And today I'm going to be babbling about the new album from Testament called Bellum. It's one of those bands that I've been listening to ever since The New Order. I came in an album late, I guess, but the whole thrash scene when that started back when I was younger, I loved it. I would dove in head first, and this is one of the very first bands that really grabbed my attention. Of course, they had videos on MTV all the time from this album, like Souls of Black and Practice What You Preach when that all came out. I think there was one from The Legacy that they used to play all the time. I know things are a little bit fuzzy in the head right now. We call it, I call it the case of the old. Kind of stole that from somebody else, but it's so fitting. But anyway, one thing I haven't forgotten is how cool this band is. They've tried a few different styles here and there. They've gone a little bit heavier on some stuff. It's kind of weird because they've really gone in a few different directions. They started out as just thrash, which is fine with me. I love thrash music. But they went a little bit darker and stuff like demonic. And then they've tried a more, I don't know, accessible approach a couple different times. But my favorite is when they're right down the thrash vein. And so I wasn't really sure what to expect of this. In the last couple albums I've enjoyed. Nothing mind-blowing, but I've enjoyed them. But this one kicked in with a song called For the Love of Pain, which when it first kicked in, I honestly wouldn't have been able to tell you it was Testament. It was very, very on the edge of death metal, to my ears anyway. Like I said, this is all opinion. Some people may not like what I'm going to say about that, but for me, death metal is not my favorite genre. It's weird because I like the music, but for me, the vocals, and I know that probably 100,000 people have said this, vocals just don't do it for them. I'm one of those people that the vocals just don't do it for me. I just don't find that style appealing to me. I'm not going to rag on it, talk bad about it. It's just not my cup of tea. And the first couple of songs on here are that kind of vocal style, which for me is a shame because I think Chuck Billy has got a very unique sound to his voice, and when he does that really thrashy vocal, nobody else sounds like him. And even when he sings, because there's a few times he actually sings, he still has a very unique sound to his voice. However, when he does the more death style vocals, it just sounds like thousands of other bands, and he loses that uniqueness. And that's part of the reason I don't enjoy that when certain bands try that type of thing. If it's there for flavor every now and then, I can think a lot of bands do that. It's pretty cool. There's actually later on in one of the other songs here that works really well. So there's times where it works. I just don't want to listen to it for a whole song. That's just my personal thing. The first couple songs are pretty much like that. There's a lot of tremolo style picking on those songs as well. Not quite as relying on the riffage, although they do have riffs, which was one thing I always like about Testament. They have very cool riffs. It's not quite as apparent on the first couple of songs. However, I know I've already read a couple of reviews at a time, which I try not to do, but I saw that track number 3 is Shadow People, where it gets more to the thrashy style stuff, is where a few other people didn't like it as much. For me, it's what I enjoy. It's the thrashy style of Testament, which I'm like, okay, now we're back on track. This is the kind of stuff I like. I really thought that song was more on the right track. And then they take a complete left turn with Meant to Be. It starts out very slow, ballady sounding, and even some orchestration kicks in early on. I was kind of like, all right, it's a longer song. I think it was right around 7 minutes or so, and kind of wondering where this one was going to go. And my trepidation was easily dismissed very quickly when the song just built to this epic ending, and it just kept building to, which is, you don't hear that much in thrash music, let's put it that way. So for a thrash band to do this style of music in this song, I thought was taking a very big risk, but I think it paid off. Alex's solo in the song is is amazingly good. I mean, it's one thing I have to say about this album, the solos. If you're into Alex or Eric, you like their style of playing, you're not going to be disappointed. The solos on some of these songs are killer. They always are, but man, some of them are just like, man, how did somebody get their fingers to do that stuff? It's amazing. This is one of those times, and the end of the solo on this one was great. And then next couple songs, we go back to more of the death style things for a couple songs, High Noon and Witch Hunt. However, I think it was in Witch Hunt, I've only listened to the song a couple times now, I'm maybe getting these two backwards, but there's that death style of vocal where it's just super high, ghostly sounding, high-pitched thing going on. It's not right up front, but it's in the background, and when it mixes with the vocals in certain areas, the up front death vocals, it actually works great. It's super spooky. It gives it a cool, man, eerie effect. It's hard to describe. It's just haunting. That is cool. I mean, hands down, one of the coolest things I've heard them do on this album was that right there. However, it does the death vocals pretty much the whole song. Right up until midway through the song, slows down, in Witch Hunt that is, and he starts singing, which is cool. It's like his style of singing, and then goes completely left. It does this amazing guitar solo, very melodic guitar solo, does a little bit of shredding, and then completely changes style again to this cool little groove, and then another amazing solo over the top of that, and then the song ends and never goes back at all, which is different arrangement, so they tried something a little bit new there. I wasn't expecting the song to end where it ended, but I actually enjoyed that part of the song. Like halfway through that one, I actually enjoyed that. But then from this point on, we're full out thrash from this point on. We got Nature of the Beast, Room 117, Havana Syndrome, and then the title track. Just full out thrash, the kind of, Testament I love listening to, and classic riff style songs. Eric, I think, probably provided the most of the riffs he usually does, but and not to say there wasn't any riffs going on earlier on. However, this is the more style of Testament style riffs and guitar playing that I enjoy the most, and vocals, and like thrash style vocals where Chuck actually has that uniqueness coming out that I was talking about earlier, and you can just tell it's Testament, and it doesn't sound too repetitive of earlier stuff they've done. I mean, they pretty much stick to the same formulas they've done their whole career, but it works, so why change too much? I don't mind when bands try things, but when they completely lose what they are, it kind of bugs me a little bit sometimes. I thought they were on the verge of doing that on a few of these songs. However, for me, the second half of this album pretty much did it for me. So more than half the album is like really cool Testament, what you're used to. Tried a few other things there. Some of it worked pretty good. Some of it I didn't care for too much. I'd say like 3.5 of the songs were not my real cup of tea, but the rest of the album I thought was like amazing. Really enjoyed that part of it. So at first I was getting a little bit worried, but as the album ended, I was happy with it. And it's kind of funny, it ended with a cool little acoustic outro, which almost like threw me back to how the New Order started. Although that's not acoustic, but it's a more clean starting way to open an album. They kind of ended their album this way. It just kind of was mellow and faded off. So interesting way to do things. So I don't know if anybody's familiar with that. Earlier on the intro I was just referring to, but that's kind of the feeling I got when they ended this one. So anyway, enough babbling about this one. As always, I welcome anybody to share their opinions and other Testament songs we should check out, or things that I may have skipped over you think we should mention. Always feel free. And I like what they've been doing. This is a cool album, aside from a few things, but I guess I got to try different things every now and then. So until they do their next one, I'll be sitting here waiting for that. Until then, we'll see you.